While air leakage can be a significant source of heat loss or unwanted heat gain in our homes, the good news is that there are many easy and low-cost ways to seal up a home. This module will present some common methods to seal air leaks in homes at windows and doors, our attic hatch, pipes into the attic, electrical boxes, and rim joists. Taking a look at window and door sealing, there are many products on the market that can be used to help improve or replace the gaskets or fill in the gaps around the perimeter of doors and windows, often referred to as weather stripping. And these can be fairly easily applied, and there are a number of different products that are made to be fairly easy to do this, including those that come with self-adhesive strips. And depending on the particular condition at a door or window, these products can be added so that when you close doors and windows, we have a nice tight seal and can reduce the infiltration rates around windows and doors. And a good effort should be made to look at all windows and doors. Don't forget the garage door, because all of these can be a significant source of infiltration rates into a home. The attic hatch is another very common culprit and source of heat loss from our house into an unconditioned attic. And in this case, there's an infrared image of the attic space where you can see a significant amount of heat that's being detected through that particular attic hatch. This is fairly easy to address by air sealing the gaps, depending on how the hatch is constructed, to improve how it's sealed up. In this case, with an adhesive foam. In this case, around the stairs with some expanding spray foam. There are also kits that you can purchase to add insulation to an attic hatch. These come in many shapes and sizes, and they're fairly affordable and easy to put together. And in some cases, if we don't have a vertical hatch, we might have a door up into the attic. And if it's an unconditioned attic, we shouldn't forget to add some insulation to that door itself. Attic penetrations are a significant source, and there are a number of different shapes and sizes, but the furnace exhaust is a common source of heat loss. And there are a couple steps to do this. And the first step would be to seal the opening around the furnace exhaust. There was probably a square hole cut for a round pipe. So we really do have a round peg and a square hole. But cutting some extra metal around that so the gap isn't so big and sealing that with caulk is the first step. The next step would be to seal around the perimeter of the gap with some specialty caulk that's made for high temperature applications, because this pipe is pretty hot. And the third step would be to add an insulation dam around the perimeter of the exhaust pipe to allow us to stack up a good amount of loose insulation around the pipe, but to keep that insulation away from the pipe with a manufactured air gap. Electrical boxes are other sources of leaks. They have many different holes and also usually have a rough opening cut around them. Here's an image of an electrical box cut into a ceiling, and the way to seal this up would be to use caulk or expanding foam around the perimeter and also on all the holes, because each one of those is allowing air to escape up into our attic. Plumbing pipes that protrude up through the attic space are another good place to look for potential leaks and fairly easy to seal. In this case, some expanding foam around the perimeter will be just what's needed to seal that up. As you may have noticed, that we've used and referred to a number of different materials for this, and it is important to know that some care needs to be taken to use the right kind of materials in the right conditions. But for the furnace or hot water heater exhaust pipe, it's probably made of galvanized metal, and in this case the aluminum flashing and high temperature silicone caulk should be used to seal it up. In the case of a chimney, masonry and metal, also aluminum flashing and high temperature silicone caulk. But for plumbing pipes that aren't that hot, usually cast iron or PVC, some expanding foam or regular caulk can be used depending on the size of the gap. If you're not sure, it's a good idea to contact a professional to make sure that the right materials are used and the right different conditions. The rim joist is another good place to check for leaks and also do some sealing. Along the gap in the perimeter of the house between the sill plate and the foundation, we could often have air gaps between those two different types of materials, and that's a good place to add some caulk or sealant. Between the top and bottom of the rim joist is another good place to check for leaks and seal up. And penetrations for electrical and water and gas pipes are commonly made at the rim joist because it's a pretty easy place to drill a hole. And these are also places that should be sealed. And uh, depending on the type and the size of the gap, you could use caulking or expanding foam as we've seen in some of the other applications. Here's some images of sealed rim joists, and in this case, we've used some rigid foam insulation that's sealed around the perimeter with expanding foam, or just a large application of spray foam up into that rim joist cavity to seal it up and insulate it.